Hi friends, this is Mukesh and here I want to make a presentation on life designing strategies. What are the important life designing strategies for you is a very important. Like for example, when you construct a house, you need an architect. Architect will set up the designing contours for you, where should be foundation, what should be the material which should be used, what kind of allocation you need to give to the spatial area available for construction of the rooms, bedrooms, drawing rooms, bathrooms, air conditioning, cabling, underground water pipelines. It's a very complicated thing. So, therefore, the good architecture will design a good house for you. And a bed architecture will design bed house for you. The space management and the appearance and the look and the cost effectiveness. These are the very important aspect of any good architecture. There's a book written by Ayn Rand called Fountainhead, and how they depicted about the importance of your passion and your full focus on what you want to do in life. Similarly, lawyer. If you have a good lawyer, you will win the matter. If you have a bad lawyer, even a good case you will lose. So, what is important for you in life is that you need to have a good lawyer. Similarly, with the doctor, medical practice. If you go to a bad doctor, maybe he'll make you from bad to worse. You have gone for a certain treatment, maybe he'll be treating you differently. Maybe he has not been able to diagnose exactly the what treatment he should give it to you. So you go to the wrong doctor, you absolutely run into a serious crisis, and being your personal body, you go through this torture of being not treated properly, not being diagnosed properly. Of course, if the diagnosis is not good, then your treatment will not be good. Exactly same thing happens when you do your life, you design your life. So are you competent enough to design your life? So therefore it becomes very important for you to understand professionally how do you design your life. Most of the people, they do not design their lives which should be. Either you have a designing consultant who gives you a design what kind of life you should lead, or you can do self-designing. So professionals, designers are needed in terms of structuring the life. If you take one wrong step in life, it will have a far-reaching long-term ramifications. I'll give you an example. If you're wearing a shirt and if you put your button in a wrong hole in the shirt will get tilted, skewed. Your entire shirt will look completely a comic drama because it will be like tilted like this. Similarly, in life, if you take one step wrong, preferably in the beginning of your life, your foundation is faulty, you are not able to understand what kind of life you need to launch yourself. So one mistake will magnify manifold in the later part of life. For example, good education. If you are educated in a good institution, you have a good base, your scholarly capabilities are ensured. But if you go into wrong colleges, wrong school in the beginning, then obviously it will have a huge impact on the future and you will be less competitive. Darwin said, it is the fittest of survival. Now, how do you ensure that you become the fittest person? Today's world population is about 7 billion, maybe more than 7 billion as on date. In 2023, I don't have the correct statistic, but it certainly exceeded 7 billion population. And India's population is almost 15 to 16% of the world population. And area of India is about 2% only. in terms of the world geography, India's area is 2%. Now, I'm just giving you some introductory reference to the life designing strategy. When you say life designing strategy, means what kind of education you need to have, what kind of financial wealth you need to have, what kind of health you need to have, what kind of future you need to have. The biggest challenge for anybody in this world is to remain relevant till your last breath. Now, you reach to a point in life when you have really nothing to do. That's why in a comic way, in movies they project an old man reading the newspaper right from first word to the last word of the newspaper. He spends great deal of time in reading the newspaper because he wants to look constructively engaged. He wants to earn that respect in the family that he has got a constructive engagement, and therefore he gets into an area which makes him occupied and which creates some kind of respect for him in the system, and either he shares his knowledge with other people, but in the heart of heart his relevance has dwindled. He might have been one point in time a very strong person, but after he gets retirement, after he loses power, he's suddenly like a fish out of water. He doesn't know what to do. And this is the life. You can only remain relevant for certain productive years. But would you like to extend your productive years? Would you like to remain relevant? Would you like to be contributor? Would you like to be the transmitter of energy, transmitter of values, or you want to be the recipient, or you want to be the energy trainer? Most of the old people, with all due regards, they become recluse, they become too much dependent on their family members. They draw most of the energy and engagement out of the attachment they create from, for example, grandchildren. But look at the way the world is getting disintegrated. Nuclear family is on the rise. India is a very young country, and India is also aping the Western world. So most of the children today, they want to have an independent life. They want to have best gizmos. They are addicted to social media, which we call FOMA, and they are glued to the internet. Most of the affluent children have their independent rooms, dedicated television, dedicated computer, internet. As a result, what happens is the communication within the family has reduced drastically. And elderly people, since they have not cultivated the skills to remain compatible and relevant in terms of developing communication strategies with their children, with the new generation, they slowly get alienated from the system. So, this is the only strong emotional link which remains, being a consanguine member of the family, being a blood member of the family, or whatever the emotions are built up, you tend to remain in a structure which is can be very hurtful, can be very humiliating at times, because you are not finding your integration in the family which you have created. You realize that you are becoming outdated. Like any other technology becomes obsolete, similarly the relationships also become obsolete. So how do you manage these things? These are the questions I'm talking. Even this my lecture is relevant for the young children and also for the elderly population, the aging population, because the times are changing very, very rapidly. There is saying that only constant thing in the life is change. So we are changing all the time. Our surroundings are changing. I mean, about maybe 30, 40 years back, 30 years back, for example, or there was there was no mobile phone. Now, mobile phone is a disruption which has been created. It has changed the entire paradigm, the social equations, the entire social configuration has undergone change. The means of communications have changed. Today, you have WhatsApp, you have instantaneous messages. There was a time it would buffer, For quite some time, if you wanted to watch a YouTube, now there is a 5G technology available to it. With the blink of eye, you can see uninterrupted programs. So there is a huge amount of social diversions and influence on every generation, whether it's an elderly generation or a younger generation. But younger generations are far more vulnerable to the kind of influence they inherit from these social medias, OTT platform, a number of options available to it. The obscenity, which has grown manifold, drug addiction is becoming a menace with the youngsters, and they are spending money. Now, what is happening is one leads to many things. Now, if you have a child who gets into this mesmerizing impact of consumerism, which is like buying the latest telephone, although, or mobile phone, sorry, telephone used to exist earlier. Now, mobile phone, you want to buy an Apple, average cost of an Apple phone can range from 50 to 1 lakh 50,000 rupees. Now, if you want to have your bike, which should be the latest model, that will also cost you about 1.5 lakhs or 2 lakhs rupees. Now, if you get into this rigmarole of building up the gizmos around you and you get completely allured by them because of your peer influence, so that is a number one fault of your designing strategies at the beginning. Now, we do not strike the priorities in life. Now there are concepts which is like supported by our Vedic knowledge. There was a time when, at the age of 25 years, you only focus on your studies, your youth, your celibacy. As a matter of fact, celibacy was considered to be one of the major source of preserving your internal vitality, so that you are completely focused on your education, on your health building. Now, the moment you get into this infidelity factor, sorry, or you tend to become promiscuous, then what happens is you are diverted your energy to the area which is absolutely not contributing productively. Now, this is one important life designing strategy, that you need to have a solid determination and self imposed determination, rather than somebody telling you that till 25 years old you will spend time in building your health and building your future by getting into studies, by doing things which are required a very high degree of disciplined life. The contradiction is that at this age you are so vulnerable to influences. Now, who is going to tell you? Because today the parents cannot control the children, and children have been literally left to carve out their own strategies and directions. And there was a time when you had these patshalas, and very high Vedic indoctrinations were there. There were very less distractions, as a matter of fact. There were hardly any distractions, so people used to play on grounds, simple tools to survive, cycling down to your school, and so no money to be spent on the petrol or maintenance, or you can even walk down. So that kind of a simple existence was late by default, focusing children into what they wanted to do, what they were supposed to do, and what kind of SOPs they need to follow. So that was number one. Now, which we are diverting completely. Our proportion of diversion is grown manifold. For example, if there was a 10% diversion in 40 years back, or 50 years back, or 30 years back, today diversion ratio has changed almost to 70 to 80%. So if your energy is being diverted 70 to 80%, you can imagine what will be the impact on your future.